do it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Drinks and Discussions, the RPG podcast, otherwise known as
Dirty.
I am here with Mr. Pickles. We're going to be hosting this one, otherwise known as a D6, otherwise known as Ada, otherwise known as. Do you have other names?
Applejack.
Nope. Adareg.
That right?
Yeah. Otherwise known as the host of the Dirty miniseries. Adis.
Unnamed caravan story.
He's out of town, so it's just the two of us. We usually have more hosts that pop in, but they've all kind of been MIA for a while. So it's us you're stuck with today. However, Pickles came up with it's something we've kind of bounced around. The idea topic for this one is an idea that we've bounced around a little bit, something we wanted to talk about. We haven't really done it, but I figured Adis is a new DM, so he wouldn't have a whole lot to add to this conversation, but Pickles and I have been around for a little while, so we have some good and bad experience to pull from. And so what I wanted to start with is, if you remember, a couple episodes back, I don't know, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, I don't know how long it's been, we did a roster game, a draft game, where we drafted the best, I think it was the best RPGs of all time or something. We did a draft between like 4 or 5 of us or something, and came up with a good list. This time I was thinking what we'd do is, between the two of us, we're going to do a draft, and this is going to be things problem players do in TTRPGs. So this is primarily in things like D&Ds, Zweihander, Savage Worlds, so on and so forth. In systems like that, when you're sitting down to a tabletop role-playing game, you have good and bad players. So what are some habits, what are some things that bad players do? And what we'll do, I think, is we'll start off with the draft game, just back and forth. What's your number one? What's my number one, number two? Should we start at number 5 and work your way up to your big one? Or should we start at number 1 on your big one and then work your way down?
I think the only way my brain would work with this is the second way, what I dislike the most.
Okay. So we'll start at our biggest one and work down. So we're going to start with the draft game, and then maybe we'll break down kind of some more of the ins and outs and backstories and stuff about problem players. All right, so we're gonna kick this off. The number. So I was just remembering that in the last episode when we did this, I'm pretty sure
I got first.
I'm pretty sure I was supposed to put like the screen on board, and I don't think I ever did that in editing. I just now remembered that.
Well, we narrated our like theoretical.
We went over it a bunch, yeah. So here, Wrath, in editing for this one, put up a board, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 for both of us, and I will give it to the guest here, Mr. Pickles, for your number 1. And again, this is, I don't know, just habits or things that problem players do in TTRPGs, tabletop role-playing games. What is your number 1 pet peeve or just biggest issue with problem player?
This one is a little bit hard, actually, because there are 2 on my list, at least. I don't know if we're going off the same list of general ideas.
I built my own list.
Okay. I would say the person who just wants to have a bad time for everybody. I would describe them as the psycho kind of character, where it's like, I want to be evil just to be evil so that we fail and have a bad time and everybody loses except for me, because I win by ruining the table. I think that is my number 1. Like, there's no redemption with that kind of problem player. If they don't want to have a good time, they just want to do evil things. And like, I say evil, assuming most parties want to be neutral or good. And even within evil parties, there are lines
actions
that was too far.
Actions that are opposed to the actions that are opposed to the party's best interest.
Yeah, definitely.
The chat is asking, is this as viewed as a GM or as a player? I think just overall, it's kind of both. Like, if you're a player having to deal with this kind of person, or a GM having to deal with this kind of person, right?
Yeah.
So either one. So chat's also calling this the griefer.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
see that.
This character would be if they're playing a rogue, they're going to steal from the party and then throw stuff away and break arrows. And I think to an extent, it's a common like you play the rogue the first time, you're like, I'm supposed to steal, and then you realize that becomes a dick move and you stop doing that. But some people sort of revel in it, like openly being able to take things from the other players,
Yeah.
and that's where it becomes like a serious
I
like
would
no.
say this is on my honorable mentions. It wasn't one of my top 5 that I chose, but it was. I have it listed as throws the game. Is just
Yeah.
like they are there to cause chaos and like they're having fun. They're doing what their character is supposed to do, but it doesn't align with the character with the party's interest, and so the rest of the party's just like, oh, okay. And I would relate this. I don't know if we're supposed to be breaking this down so far. Maybe we just go over these and then should we just rattle
Let's
out?
be more brief so
Yeah,
that we can tackle the ones we want to in
yeah.
depth.
Go through our draft and then afterwards we'll break them down. Okay.
Yeah.
So my number one. I am going to, as a DM and as a player, I am going to throw this to the distracted player. The one who is on their phone. The one who's playing around on their computers. The one who's playing a video game during the session. This has happened. The one who is constantly getting up and leaving, bathroom breaks, phone breaks, da da da. It's like, no. I mean, like okay, like once a session, twice a session, if it's an important phone call. Every session, every like 20 minutes, or the one where it gets to their turn and you're like, what do you do on your turn? And they're like, what's going on?
What's going on? Oh,
It
hate that.
hurts. It hurts. It hurts so much.
There are
Um,
times where I'm listening and like I'll hear what people say, and then they say, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And it's like, "What? Wait, I I only heard like part of it, and then immediately left my brain. What's going on?"
I've had that happen, and it's happened even in sessions with like nowadays. Even I've gotten to
Yeah,
pickles, and I'll be like, "Okay, hang on, can you describe that one more time to me?" Like I didn't grasp everything there, or
yeah,
it's difficult because like I'm doing stream at the same time, so I might like read something in chat, come back, and be like, "Oh shit, he was talking to me." Fuck.
I
um, but
it's like
yeah,
always when I'm making a plan.
even
Sorry.
that distracted players would be my number one like pet peeve, where I'm just sitting like it goes back to the person literally playing a video game in the middle of a session, and I literally had to stop stream and call them out and be like, are you playing a video game right now? When they're sitting there like and you're like
Screens flashing.
yeah. I was like, hang on. This is bullshit. All right, that's my number one. What would be your number two, Pickles?
Well, that one would have been my number two, but we're doing a
uh
draft, like we're
yep,
doing
I
football stuff
stole
because
it.
I do hate that. That just
It's bad.
um one that has been growing on me a little bit as one that annoys me quite a bit. So I don't know. Well, actually, no. Let's go with my actual number two. I
Hmm?
call them the board gamer. Um, it's very similar to like a rules lawyer, except their only goal with the game is to beat you. And every time you set up an encounter for them to win, they like rub it in your face, and it's like, no, but I'm on your side. You get that, right? They're like, no, no, we beat you. It's like, why are you gloating?
I don't think
This is
I've
not the game for
ever
gloating.
I don't think I've ever had this player. Like this
I
type of player. I think I've been blessed that I've never had that type of player in my game.
They were the players I had when you were off to military.
Uh, hmm.
And they just did that. They were smarter than me, so maybe that's where I got a little insecure.
I remember
But
hearing about this.
yeah,
We Pickles and I used to write letters to each other when I was enlisted and with the Marines and deployed, and we would write
yeah.
letters. And I remember I specifically asked him. I was like, please tell me about like your D&D games and stuff. Like I need stuff to distract me. And so he would tell me, and it was not good news. Like it was sad and depressing. And I was like, oh no, that's not what I needed.
Yeah, they were not fun in the long run.
But then I
Um,
came back and I bought you a whole bunch of candy and we hung out.
yeah,
And all
all
was
the
right in the
Snickers
world.
bars.
Yep.
Well, I mean, to be fair, not all was right in the world, but
Well,
well, I'll
yeah.
save that for my number three, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, because I think it was right after I came back. That's when Sure Hair Girl played with us.
we did more in-person stuff when I was living my first house.
No, I know. I'm saying when I came back from the military, I
Yeah.
think we were playing on that back patio at your parents' place, and
Oh,
that's
yep.
where the girl was like, "I'll just eat my hair."
The actual, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
that
yeah.
was good times. We'll probably talk about that one. We'll afterwards we'll talk about some of our experiences and some of
Yeah.
the problem players we've seen. So your number two is the board gamer. The I'm gonna win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one. My number two is actually one that chat has mentioned as well. I named it the Spotlight Hog. They're calling it the attention whore. Someone who is constantly taking the spotlight in the game, and I've had that a lot, and I've left games specifically because it was like I didn't do anything. Like I literally served no purpose to this game. Like, I noticed that a lot in games where there's like 6 players. I don't feel balanced, and I'm just like listening to everyone else pipe up. Oh, what do you guys do? Da 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 da. And I'm just like, even if I talk, you won't hear me. So like, yeah, the attention whore, the spotlight hog, the person who or players who constantly have the first say and oh, we're gonna do this, and it's like, okay. Like it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter. Like yeah, that would be my number two. I've left games specifically for this reason, so
I'm just curious with that before we move on. I know we're trying to go through, but
mm-mm.
um,
Go ahead.
like, because I think I often struggle with that myself, being the attention hog, just because when I pick a character I really want to play, I can think of a lot of things to say or do in scenes, and you never know with players. Like, some players are generally kind of quiet, so it's like you don't want to just enter and not have anything happen. I try and balance it, I guess, by interacting with other players when I'm doing that, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not just me on the spotlight. But I guess I'm in an honest way. Do you think Grunkle suffers from that?
Grunkle? No. Have you seen Grunkle and Torveka go at it? Not at all. You guys are very well balanced. I would say Wilfer is the most. I would say not as much of a spotlight as you two, but I think he has a lot more definitive standout moments where like he did the survival stuff for you guys and was able to skin the meat and like take care of the animals. You guys were just standing there. Like that was like a moment for him. Going up to the altar and actually like being the one to be like, oh, I'm gonna go do stuff. You guys stay. You were like, we're just gonna stay here. That was a big moment for him where he got specific spotlight time. So maybe when you're all together as a group and like talking, it's a lot of you and Torvekik, but then
Yeah, it is.
he gets a lot of his own kind of like moments to shine out of that. So it's a little different. It's a weird little juggle there, but I don't know. I think it kind of works.
Okay, that's fair.
Chat. I see you guys have some stuff to say about this. You're putting in some big paragraphs and stuff. I will read those once we dive into these more. Let's get through our draft, and then
Yeah,
we're gonna break it down, and I'm gonna read through these and add those in. So,
yeah.
and honestly, I mean, I don't know about you. We can always go over as well. It's just you and me. So,
Yeah. My number three,
yeah, yeah.
or no, yeah.
Did you give it number three? No, I
I
think
do
we
have
just
number
talked.
three.
No, we just talked about the spotlight hog. So yeah, it's your number
Yeah.
three.
Okay. Yeah. I would say, yeah, the one I was thinking about earlier, I'd call them the clown, and it's the distraction player who just constantly is getting off topic, making jokes at things. It's sort of every time you do something, they happen to make a little joke, and it's like, haha, yeah, but my character didn't actually fall down and fart. They actually
Um,
cast a spell. So, um, and like it's
yeah.
I've been having some personal experiences with that lately where it's like, okay, I'm not actually useless, guys. Let's not, you know, keep joking like
I
that.
would say
But
even Grunkle's fallen susceptible to that a little bit. There's been moments where it's like, okay, calm down. Grunkle will not do that. You wouldn't say so? I think at
yeah,
least
actually,
with
I think I
Grunkle, it's
can.
been in good humor, and I don't think it's been anything that's really taken away from the
Oh
game.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
think there have definitely been moments where you're like, oh, okay, like Grunkle not the butt of the joke. Calm down.
I think The situation I'm talking about is definitely not King's Crossing.
I can
Just
only relate
FYI.
to. I don't have the memory to go back to all my prior campaigns, so it's like King's Crossing.
Yeah,
But
no. In those cases, I kind of invited that with the character being like,
he is a
I'm
comedic
playing an
relief
ogre.
type, yeah.
Well, and people should be like, are you gonna do bad thing? No, no, no. Grok will
Yeah.
not do bad
I
thing.
think the classic is, do you eat people?
No, no, no,
No, only sometimes, but no. Shh. What was that middle part?
no. Shh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The
the
clown.
person who's always joking on you, the clown who derails the game and just brings people out of things and makes the entire thing a terrible comedy. What is your number three?
I've seen that. It's rare that I've seen that, but I have seen that, and I could definitely see why it would be on the list. My number three is a big one. I wasn't really sure if I should put this one as my number one. Like my top three are kind of interchangeable, but I've locked them in these slots on purpose. Number three is going to be the flake, the person who either just doesn't show up, shows up late, or is like, "Oh yeah, I might be there." You might be there, like, and I noticed this a lot. This was a big thing in person groups, but I don't think it was nearly as big as online. Online is huge. Oh yeah, no, I'll let you know if I'll be there like maybe like an hour before. Maybe. Or I'll just show up on time and you guys won't know if I'll be there or not. What? Some of us have things to plan. Like some of us have stuff going on in our lives that like I need to know. Flake is I think probably this is where I think these ones are also the top three for me because it is the top three that I've seen with online TTRPG. They were always very prevalent in in-person groups, but I think they're exponentially increased in online groups because online, I don't know, people just feel like they can be flaky. Oh yeah, I might be around. Whereas if in person, it's like okay, it's either you're there or you're not there. Distracted, another big one. Online, people get super distracted all the time. They're literally in front of their computer and shit. But yeah, the flake is a big one, especially as a GM, even as a player. I mean, people like have committed time and like set aside, hey, I got invited to go out with my friends. I canceled because I've already committed to sitting down to this. And then 10 minutes before, 5 minutes after, 10 minutes after, they go, oh yeah, no, I don't think I'll be able to make it. Cool, thanks. Fuck me then, huh? Yeah, that's the big one for me. Flakes are the absolute worst. They kill games. They do. You can ruin an entire campaign if you have a flake in your group.
Yeah, especially if they make a good portion of the team or a critical role of the team.
Yep. Yep. They can be great players, but if they just don't show, doesn't matter. Yep.
Yeah.
Some GMs won't run games without all the players there, so flakes would definitely kill it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, because I mean, you've got a story to tell, and if you lose half your cast, like,
Or if you make a 20 adventure campaign and it's all about 4 chosen one characters and you kind of need everybody there, otherwise the Power Rangers can't like summon the Megazord.
That was a big one.
Yep, bad idea. Don't do that.
I like Bjorn.
Bad.
Bjorn was a cool character. Anywho,
I'm talking to the writer.
You're
Bad.
number 4.
Yeah, my number 4. The tag along is what I call them. It's just somebody who is brought along to the game who does not want to be there.
Oh God, I did this one time.
Yeah,
I wasn't the tag along, but I brought along a tag along. It happened one time, and it did not happen again.
Well, and that's the thing is people will say, "Hey, yeah, I'm well," and I think a common one is like, you know, and whatever, and sounds kind of dumb, but and then you're like, "Well, yeah," but once you see it, you're gonna realize that it's some funny shit. Like Ben, I'm pretty sure is how that conversation goes. And like it's worked sometimes, but there's other times where it's like they immediately hate it and they're like, "So when are we leaving?" And you're like, "It's 5 hours. We're doing this for 5 hours, ideally 6."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh."
I know we're not supposed to be breaking into this, but there was a point in time where we were playing at Pickle's parents' house. I came over with my significant other at the time, obviously a great person because it worked out so well for us, right? I brought over my significant other, and they were interested. I was like, yeah, I go over and I play D&D with my friends. It's a great time. Good laughs. You're welcome to join. It's like Lord of the Rings, kind of that. Well, yeah, absolutely. Showed up, and Pickles, you have better memory than me. Do you want to make a character? No. They're just going to sit here, and then proceeded to just sit there and kind of play on their phone, and then was like, is it almost time to go? Like, can we go? We still have 3 hours left. Like, no. Yeah, I did that one time. I never brought them back. But I know other people. Oh my god, this just reminded me of the DM. One of your friends, someone you brought in, the DM who like would write down things to say and pass them to your girlfriend to read them out because he didn't want to read in a girl's voice.
Yeah. I remember Phil.
I just remembered that off the top of my head. The DM didn't want to do voices, so he would write out what the NPC would say and then make one of the players read them. So
I want to play my own character.
Yeah. Hey, can you play all the NPCs as well? What?
He had terrible hand too. That didn't help.
It was good times. Oh, my number 4. So we're on.
I just wanted to say I meant to like add that it's not just significant others. There's been like and was only there to hang out with people, like the sibling that's there to try it but doesn't like it, like the kind of thing where it's the tag along who was like, yeah, sure, why not? I want to hang out with friends, but then they get there and they're like, well, I just want to make jokes, and maybe that's partially the clown I mentioned earlier, but this one is,
yeah, I can see it.
Number 4.
My number 4. So I'm getting into my 2 last ones here. Tough. I put down someone who kills the immersion. And as I'm thinking about that, like as I was writing this, I was thinking about this could fit in with your clown person. This could fit in with the person who is like the chaos factor. Going against the party's interest. So if you're in the game and you're like, okay, like, or it could just be anyone who's like, okay, we're in the game, we're in this dungeon, we're about to fight the boss. Are you everybody ready for the boss? Yeah. Should we like get pizza? We just took a break like 10 minutes ago. Come on.
Well, I sure hope we don't fart and wake up the enemy.
Yeah.
And then they blow in there.
Something just
like,
killing
okay,
the immersion,
okay.
and it's like, okay. I don't know if that it's kind of a rough one because that fits in with a lot of the other ones, like distracted, like clown, like da da da. So
I think there's a caveat to it that you could include, like the player who wants to play something that's completely wrong, and that breaks immersion. I know you've had a few run-ins with that in the past of wanting to play a very evil character,
and I got told that I'm the worst DM ever.
And just like it's like the most absurd example I could think of. I've never had this personal experience, but being like a traditional like dark Warhammer fantasy game, but one of the players wants to play one of the cast from My Little Pony. It's like,
yeah, that would definitely, you're like
does not fit.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so that's like the most absurd example. But I think there's others in immersion that like, I don't know if that fits for you.
I think. Let me look at this.
Or you could take another for your 4th.
Yeah, because I think that one is kind of a cop out because I feel like there's a bunch of other ones that kind of fit in with that. I'm going to. Ooh. Oh, God. I am going to change it. I'm going to go to someone who. This might be stealing one of yours. I'm going to go to someone who just doesn't contribute. This is to the player who shows up and is like, hey, what do you want to do? I don't know. I eat my hair. This is to the one where you're like, what do you want to do? Nothing. I don't feel like. Okay, here's the adventure. Are you guys ready to go? Nah, I don't go.
I do what other player does.
Yeah,
I follow him.
Okay, do you want to do anything along the way? No.
I want to laugh at his jokes. But
They
don't even think of that.
No, they don't add anything to the game, and you're just like,
Oh my god, yes. No, and you had a
Your internet is taking a shit, Pickles.
Oh, I'm sorry. When I get angry, it starts having issues
frantically. What's the?
Just saying that reminds me of a friend of ours that you played with in a duo campaign, and I like you as a player, but he was not a whole lot of anything. And so for a duo campaign on an island, just two players,
You kind of got to share the load.
yeah, it killed my spirit. There was just basically one player and an extra guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would put that as my fourth. The person who just doesn't contribute.
Yeah.
All right, you're number 5. This is
My
good.
number
We're about
5,
halfway through the episode. We get this, and then we spend the other half of the episode breaking it down. I like it.
reading through chat first, then breaking it down, most likely.
Right, right. I thought that was your number 5. I was like, whoa.
Um,
I feel called out.
no,
Person who reads
no,
chat during the.
my number 5, and this is often actually it's from as a player who knows the rules really well and calls out things that are like they mention like actually the rules work this way, and he would actually not be able to make that shot at all. And it's like, oh,
Oh,
okay, yeah, as the GM I'm like, okay, but could we just pretend for like awesome.
awesome points.
It's like why are you trying to ruin this for them? And as a player, I'm usually like, what the hell, dude? We're trying to win. We
Yeah.
have to beat this guy. I'm kidding. I'm not like that. But
I think the
like,
only time I could see it, and the only time I would argue like that I would have done this is like if it's very clear that he's like, oh, I ran 20 feet away and hid behind a wall. And then he's like, okay, I hit him with my sword. And I'm like, how? What? No, you can't do that. Like, you ran away and you're hiding behind a wall. You can't run all the way. Did you move? Like, what? That's the only time, because that would be my immersion speaking out, where I'm like, okay, I'm in the room, I'm seeing it. Wait, what? Did you just fucking teleport? Like, that I could see. But beyond that, let the GM.
yeah, yeah, and sometimes the GM can be doing something that breaks the rules, and you can hand wave it as, well, you don't know what's fully going on in the plot necessarily. An evil wizard could be casting curses on this forest, and you wouldn't know because you're
Yeah,
a player.
yeah. There
And so that's
are.
generally how I'm like, whatever. The rules are the rules.
I've had instances. I think even in King's Crossing where someone's like called out, like, wait, how are these two things? And then I'm like, no, don't worry, I got it. Like,
Yep.
there's explanations.
Don't talk about it.
Or there's been instances where chat has actually called out, where the comments on YouTube have called out. They're like, God, what was it? Let me think of one exactly.
YouTube is
Oh,
relentless, I bet.
this isn't your group, but the other group, Adarag and Nimwar, were headed north. And as they left town, they met a person named Isabel. Izzy. And they met her, and she interacted with them, da-da-da. And then they continued north out into the swamps. And they found Izzy. And chat comments are like, how did she get up there? They just interact with her. I was like, they never asked that fucking question. That is a great question. But I can't explain it to you because the players never investigated that.
And now you can just say, Izzy must have some sort of magic or pathfinding.
Or something else is going on. But I literally told the comments, I was like, that is a great question that was never asked. They interacted with Izzy here, went up into the north, and there's Izzy. And they're like, okay. Chat called it out, but the players didn't. And I was like, I can't explain it to you, chat, because they don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's not. I'm giving that one away because that didn't affect you. You weren't there, but
Yeah, I like that though, because like continuity errors, whether accidental or intentional, can be really interesting in a mystery.
yeah. Because even if, say, I messed up and I was like, oh yeah, whoops, that should have been someone else. I can just, as a DM, I can be like, oh okay, I'll explain that away. Yeah, no. Find out if they ever investigate that, and that gives me time to go. Okay, what happened?
Oh, what the hell? Who made two extras the same person?
Yeah. Called out again. Yes, it was you. But is that my fifth? Did you finish your fifth?
I did. My fifth was the rules lawyer that
rules
calls.
lawyer,
Yeah. So now it's on to your fifth.
Um, got two different ones here, and like I said, my fourth and my fifth are kind of juggling here, but I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the offensive player. I'm gonna go with the one who hits on other players' girlfriends who are also at the game. I'm gonna go with the one who actively tries to fight other players or gets mad at other players for things their characters are doing and stuff. Like the one who's aggressive. Um, yeah, that can kill a game so fast. Or the one who's like, no, my character's Batman, and I'm gonna do all the cool things, and your character just follows him around. Okay, fun.
Makes it personal.
Been there. I had to follow a character around and be this backup because he was Batman.
In the 1920s.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like how I'm like giving specific examples. Yes, we've been in a game where the player has specifically tried to hit on Mr. Pickles' wife.
That was the guy who made her read the words too.
Oh, that was him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he specifically said the line to her, like I'd walked off with a player to like give them secret information,
Mm.
and he said, "Is it our turn to walk off and have a moment?" She was like,
That's
"I don't know you
awkward.
that well, dude.
Yeah.
That's not a joke at that point."
I wish I
Um,
don't. I should have just kicked his ass.
I don't think you were there.
Oh, that would make more sense. Maybe I was the
I
player
think
who
you
walked
heard
off with
about it
you.
later.
I don't know. I might have heard about it later. I don't remember, but I do remember hearing about it.
Oh yeah, we would walk off together, wouldn't we?
We would. Yeah, that's something we would have definitely done. You weren't walking
Yeah.
off with BM, so it was probably me. um. Yeah, so that would be my fifth. Do you have any honorable mentions you hadn't brought up?
Um, a lot of the honorable mentions would just be things I've heard about. I mentioned to you the fake GM, like when the person really just wants to narrate their own scenes with their own things and it doesn't go anywhere.
I've seen
And it's
that.
like, yeah, like, okay,
I've
great.
seen some DMs open it up and be like, okay, you are killing him. How do you do this? And that gives them some like flavor. But I've also seen it where they're like, oh, I roll a 4. Okay, I decapitate him with, take his hell head off. And it's like, this is your first time hitting him. You didn't decapitate him. Like,
Yeah,
calm down. And they're like, oh, okay, I cut off his leg. No, you didn't do that either. Calm down. Like,
yeah, yeah.
definitely, I've seen that.
I think that's the more problematic angle, but I was thinking more of a person with their familiar, the familiar being a fox, where they described how they're interacting with the familiar,
Oh,
and it
that
was
was
like,
like their whole gameplay. That was
yeah, it's like
everything.
right.
What their fox was doing, and I remember that was such a big focus in your game too. Like, what are you guys doing? Oh, okay, we're doing this. Okay, sweet. You guys move on. Wait. My fox is. And you're like, I don't care.
Playfully somersaulting through the willows.
Yeah,
That's what the fox is doing.
made no sense.
And
You're
it's
like,
like,
okay,
right.
oh, right. Of course. How did I miss that?
Well, I mean, as a GM, you kind of have to look at things sort of like, is this really breaking any rules? Is this just cosmetic stuff you could paint on and it's fine? And so when you hear something like that, that's just like, this didn't go anywhere. So sure, yeah, you have that.
Yeah.
You have your fox doing a dance.
My last honorable mention, because I kind of changed up some. My last honorable mention would be well, I guess I have two. The PvPer, when it comes in and fights another character. Shout out to, we had a game where we had characters going on like level 14. We had been playing them forever. The whole house had come together and was sitting down playing. We invited a new player in. We're like, hey, come play with us. It's a great game. We've got some great characters. And he came in and killed all our characters. Killed them all. And I remember one of the players just got up, didn't say a word, walked away from the table, went in the room and closed the door. And we're all just sitting there in stunned silence as our level 14 characters that we've been playing for months were just dead. Like, oh. All right. I think we learned a big lesson that day.
Well, there are multiple lessons there. Like, the big lesson for me as the GM there was just because it happens doesn't mean it needs to have happened. I should have just retconned and been like, fuck that, screw him.
Yeah. Okay,
He
that was.
load at the save point.
Yeah. Okay, next week we're gonna go back to before he joined, and that was a fun little offshoot.
But I was just so done with that situation that I was like, no, we're done. We're done.
I think we all
No.
were. That was a
But
good
I
one.
should have come back later and been like, no, let's continue. But I didn't, and so that was my bad there too, in a sense.
Um,
But
my
how about?
last one would
Oh,
be
go for it.
no, it's just my last honorable mention was the beggar. The person who's like, hey, do you have dice? Do you like my character? Here, I'm gonna give you stuff so you like my character. Please. Don't do that. Don't do that.
The suck up that
Yeah.
is a net negative.
Yeah, what was it? We were in like the middle of the desert or something. I want to go find a platypus because this player said it's their favorite animal, and I have to get them that animal so that they'll like me.
It was my wife that he was trying to get to like him.
Of course. And then, oh, I went in and smashed this guy's record player. So now I'm gonna go buy him 50 of the same record, 50 of the same copy of records, so that he'll like me again.
Yeah. Well, that's logical, right?
What? Don't be that guy. Those were my two honorable mentions.
Yeah.
What's sad is those are the same. No, those are different players. I was thinking those were the same player. They were different players.
Yeah.
That would be
Dealt with
bad.
a lot of bad players.
Any other honorable mentions from you? Before we get into
Without
what
getting into
chats?
stories, yeah, I guess I don't really have any other honorable mentions.
All right, let's see what Chess said.
Yeah, scroll up, scroll up,
Yeah,
scroll up,
yep.
scroll up.
Skrillex.
Skrillex?
Attention hoarder is really bad. The player who isn't engaged in the game, absolutely. Okay, so you were talking about a rogue who steals from the party, but they're slick about it. I can't really fault them, but when they cause strife and antagonize the party says players, that's no good.
Yeah.
Or one that's happened is where they steal stuff like in the town that you're in as a party, so your party ends up getting blamed, and your party's like, "What the fuck, man?" Like now our reputation's tanking because you're stealing from these people.
Oh man, I had so much PTSD from that because not real PTSD, but like
It
because
happened.
Dib starts stealing, and I'm like,
Oh, I
little
was thinking
small
about
creature,
the first time. Oh, you are talking about yeah.
and I'm
You're
like, he's
yeah.
gonna steal, he's gonna make these people hate us. They're gonna kill Wilfer's character, sorry, Shifty's character, Wilfer.
Mhm.
I'm just like panicking there. That's why I did like that gut reaction is no, we're not going to ruin this, and that's been a net positive for his life. So I shouldn't feel bad, but like it's one of those things where I definitely was reacting, I think, as a player there rather than as a character necessarily.
It was a very interesting reaction from Grunkle. I was very surprised.
I panicked as a player.
The lone wolf counts as an attention whore, trying to split the party so they can go do their own thing and monopolize the GM. I would say there's two parts to that. Because one, I would say the most recent episode of Strange Town Golden Ridge, we split the party. But we did, well, I have my issues with that too, but that kind of goes into the, no, I don't do anything. But we split the party, but it ended up working out. Like, when you only have two people in the party, it kind of worked because, like, we each got to do stuff, we each learned new story parts. It reminded me of my two parties in King's Crossing. Granted, I had two full parties, but both were doing things and learning things to be able to come back together and help each other. That's kind of how it worked in Strange Town Golden Ridge. Detective Verde was off doing something, I was off doing something, but we ended up coming back together. He had gotten information, I had gotten information. We were able to use both to move forward. It worked out really well, but that's a positive scenario. However, I've also been in the negative scenario. Throwback to the conversation I was just talking about where there was a Batman character and I had to be his sidekick and just follow him around because he was amazing. So basically it was like, I'm going to go out and do all the cool stuff and you stay here. Thanks. And that's splitting the party, and I think that goes to what you're talking about, chat. The lone wolf trying to get all the spotlight.
Yeah. And I guess I would also add a player who tries to cover all of the roles. It
Oh
is
yeah, that could fit.
not very, especially in a system that doesn't have classes, like Call of Cthulhu, or Mithras, perhaps. Trying to cover as many roles as possible,
Mm.
like making it so you can heal, you can deal damage, you have magic, that kind of thing is sort of like that's another thing. Is everybody needs to have something they're special at. So I don't know. The one thing I can praise, I think, about like traditional D&D is that there are restrictions like that where some people are the only people who can do those certain things,
Mm-hmm.
like cleric
Oh,
and paladin,
I was gonna
druid
say shout
perhaps.
out to I think the monk where they have a very specific skill set that no other class can do if I remember right.
Yes. A lot of hits and a lot of abilities
Their
to resist
focus
stuff and
point, their stun strikes and stuff like that. Like,
flurry of blows.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Let's see. Being a party leader slash face man is different from not letting the rest of the players have their spotlight times. Absolutely. I think being a party leader is all about giving the spotlight to your party. Hey, Rogue, you're really good at this shit. Can you help us out with this? Okay, let the Rogue have a moment. Oh, hey, you're really good at selling and buying things, right? Would you mind talking to this merchant for me and hooking us up with some good deals? Like party leader is all about, delegating and really sharing the spotlight. I think that's huge focus for them. But I also think that's a huge reason why a lot of people won't play a party leader because it's a lot of responsibility. I think that would be an interesting conversation to have someday too. What makes a party leader slash the face guy? Because I noticed in our games, a lot of people. I always end up having to be the party leader slash face guy. The problem that we could have a conversation about this because in your games it's like, hey Wrath, can you be the party leader? And I'm like, I would, except no one else wants to be the party leader. So I'll be the party leader, but then no one else wants to listen to the party leader. So then there isn't a party leader.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. Okay, I won't be party leader. You be party leader. No, I don't want to. Okay, then I will. Okay, but I'm not going to listen to you. What the fuck?
Something that stood out to me recently, with our Divination Original Sin 2 playthrough, was
Divinity.
having, yeah, Divinity.
I was like, what?
Whatever I said,
Yeah.
ignore that. Yeah, our Divinity Original Sin 2 playthrough. Um, I noticed that it didn't matter who had the highest persuade. You just wanted to cycle through people talking to different people.
Mm.
And that kind of initially I was like, but why? Wouldn't you want the persuasion person to always be the one talking to people? And with a small group, as opposed to like a crew of 100, like soldiers and a couple leadership, individuals, um, I think there's a big difference. And I kind of liked having every character having their moment as the social interacting like character because then everybody has a spotlight
Mm.
where they get to make the decisions or they get to say the lines or whatnot, with that game. And so I kind of thought back to just like horror games, and I've been thinking about that recently. Is like, so you kind of want everybody to be able to interact socially in a way. You don't want anybody who's just shut off completely and only there for the combat, in a sense, because otherwise you do fall into that rut of, well, I'm the only one who has persuade, so I guess I'm the one who's going to talk here.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 hours go by, and this is an investigative game, so it's been you.
Yeah, I would
Uh,
say I would agree because I mean I think being the persuasive character, absolutely huge boon. It just means that when you go to talk to people, you're gonna have that boon for your conversations. But everyone should have their chance to talk to people because like especially when you look at Divinity Original Sin 2, you have specific tags: the mystic, the soldier, the outlaw. So maybe when the outlaw is going to talk to an outlaw group, cool. Like they get to have some specific dialogues that other people wouldn't get to have. So think of it in regards to Strange Giant Golden Ridge. We have Detective Verde, who's a cop. If he goes and talks to cops, he's gonna have specific conversations that they would get to have. If I go to talk to cops, I wouldn't get to see the same kind of dialogue because I'm not a cop. If he goes to talk to a criminal versus if I go talk to a criminal, different conversations. If you guys aren't caught up on Strange Giant Golden Ridge, we can relate this to King's Crossing. If like Grunkle or Torvekik go and talk to a military camp, say the Lost Sons, they get to have certain kinds of conversations, whereas if Adarag and Nimwort went and talked to him, they would probably have very different dialogues that they would talk about. Because, not to say that like Grunkle isn't the persuasion character, but he would have very different, interesting dialogue than like Adarag, who is a very persuasion character, very persuasive.
Yeah,
Persuasion
very
based.
persuasion.
It's very persuasion character. So yeah, I would agree. I think just because you are the persuasion character doesn't mean you can be the only one who talks. I think it just means you're going to have very interesting dialogue that other people won't have access to, but so will they for not being persuasion characters.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and that makes me think of the early Fallout games, where if you put your intelligence too low, there would be certain stupid options to
Really?
tell people,
That's awesome.
and it was always just like absolute nonsense. It was almost worth playing a low intelligence character just to see the absolute stupidity, like what I just uttered there.
Yeah, stupid.
Like, it is good stuff.
Chat brought up another one, the murder hobo. We didn't even talk about that.
I include that with the first one. I said the psychopath, the psycho evil.
You throw that in with that.
It's the one who's like, yeah, I want to just kill this random person for no reason, and you're like, well, that doesn't help us anyway. They're like, well, we're an evil campaign. It's like, yeah, but let's not draw attention to ourselves. We're hitmen.
Or hey, I have a quest. I have a quest for you. I cut off his head.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's like, well, that's just a dead end for us. We kind of like that guy, even though
Well, yeah, but he was going to give us a reward. I just got the reward. We didn't even have to go do the quest. All right.
God damn it, Toby.
Who's Toby?
I don't know. I just wanted to give a fictional name to like the person we hate here.
I thought you were like reminiscing back to a story.
Not a real person. There's nobody named Toby out there.
I'm trying to catch one chat here. Okay, good call. Even the gothy shy necromancer could have a better connection with a subculture than the bard, paladin, sorcerer, who seems unapproachable to more meek NPCs. Yeah, going back to the conversations that you unlock by having different characters talk to people.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. Like, if Grunkle talks to an ogre versus if Nimwort talks to an ogre. Very different.
We're both going to get bullied.
Yeah.
It's just, I'll get why I'm being bullied.
Jess says, quotes, I just got the reward. We didn't even have to do the quest. Travis King. First of all, his name is changed to the Kingsman. And second, God, that might be something he would do.
Let me give you a moment for that. My wife is home, so I'm going to turn my camera on, and you can explain your situation.
I was going to say, I mean, we could, yeah, basically, what's the situation?
I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know anything.
What situation am I explaining? I'm currently in an apartment, guys. No, I think that one's gonna that wraps up our draft of the top 5 on either side of problem players, what they do, bad habits, stuff like that. I'd run off the list, but I think Pickles is MIA. But my list is the distracted player, the spotlight hog, the flake, the not contributing player, the dead weight, I guess would be a great name for them, and then the offensive player, the aggressive asshole. And then there's Pickles' list somewhere. Look at that list. I don't have it written down, so ta-da! But that's gonna do it for Drinks and Discussions, the RPG podcast, Darity, hosted by myself, Wrath, and Mr. Pickles. He's around. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys got something from this. We appreciate it. You can go back and watch. We think we've got like 15 other episodes so far recorded of different stuff. Check those out. We have a small little mini series where we've talked about I think it was like a 3-part. We talked about what is a TTRPG, what is a DM, and what is a player. That was a really interesting little breakdown we did with a bunch of people. I think, and chat's kind of been mentioning this a little bit, I think it would be cool to do another one of these where we talk about problem DMs, what to look for in DMs that could be bad habits or bad practices. So maybe we'll have to do that in another episode. But that's going to do it for Drinks and Discussions. My name's Wrath. Check out the YouTube channel if you're not already watching this over there. Thank you. If you are, leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment. Let us know your thoughts. What would be your draft? Did you agree with our drafts? Let us know. If you guys are watching this live or over on YouTube, you guys can always join the Discord. We do have a Discord channel. You can find the information in the down there. A bunch of people hanging out there. We're trying to grow the Discord. It's a little small, but it's coming along. What else do we have going on? We stream over on kick.com/Rathnar. That name is actually pending change soon, so be ready for that. Yeah, I'm changing it again because I have a better idea.
Okay.
I think I already told you, didn't I?
No, I don't think you told me at all.
I think I did.
Okay, well, it must have been subtle if you told me.
Yeah, it's super sneaky. It's just like King's Crossing, where I tell you pertinent information, you don't write it down, so then you're just like, nah.
Oh, I think I know. I think I know the man of name of king. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just here coming back into the wrap up here.
Yeah, and that's Pickles. I guess we could do a real quick shout out to, and I took that personally, a podcast hosted by Mr. Pickles and a good buddy of ours named Brad, otherwise known as Chison, over there in the Discord. They watch through movies so you don't have to. And they give you a full breakdown. It's very funny, comedic relief, but they actually are interesting, and they give you information and what is the word I'm looking for here? Basically, they break it down. They actually feed you knowledge on the movie, so you can learn a little bit about it, decide for yourself if you want to go watch it or not, all while having laughs along the way. That described it pretty well.
That's a great breakdown. We're informatively mean-spirited towards the movies.
Informative. Maybe that was the word I was going for. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. My name's Wrath. There's Pickles.
Mr. Pickles.
We will see you
in the woods.
Later.